All right, problem number 4. It says to graph and label the following figure and its image under the given translation. Triangle CDE with vertices C, 4, -3, D, -2, -5, and E, 1, 0, under the translation XY, and then arrow, X -3, Y +7. So the very first thing we need to start off by doing is to simply graph these 3 given points, triangle CDE. So we have 4, -3, right here. Here's C. -2, -5, right down here. Oops, wrong spot. -2, -5, right down here. There's D. And 1, 0, right here. There's E. Then we grab a straight edge. And we connect those 3 points together to make a triangle. Go ahead and pass out straight edges so that you guys can do that on this problem and any other problems this morning. Should be 5 there. Should be 5 there. There we go. All right, so that's the first piece. Then we have our translation. This is a slide or a shift. It says X -3. So which direction does that have us going? Left. This is going to be left 3. And then Y +7 has us going which way? Up 7. So you can count from the corners of this triangle, count for each point. Or you can use the ordered pairs. You can subtract 3 from all the X's on the ordered pairs. And then you could also add 7 to the Y parts of each ordered pair. So that would give us point C prime as 1, 4. That would give us D prime as -5, 2. And that would give us point E prime as -2, 7. So then I'm going to go and plot the points. 1, 4 right here for C prime. -5, 2 right here for D prime. And -2, 7 right here for E prime. And then grab my straight edge and connect those points together. I'm still seeing it happen on some of the graphs where people are plotting the points but not connecting the dots or not labeling the points. That is costing you credit. Make sure you label the dots, in this case with C prime, D prime, or E prime. Make sure that you connect the dots together. It is not the dots that we are translating. It is the triangle that we are translating. So you have to move the whole thing. We do that by moving the vertices first and then connecting those points, but it should be the whole triangle that is getting translated. All right, what else would you guys like to see from the review? What other problems would you guys like to see? Number 9. All right, let's flip forward to number 9. Determine if the figures have line symmetry and or rotational symmetry. Describe any symmetries that you find. So my first question is, does the heart have any line symmetry? Yes. Could we do it horizontally like this? Would that be a line of symmetry? No. Where does the line of symmetry have to be for the heart? In the middle vertically. Has to be like this. That is the only line of symmetry on the heart. So yes, we have line symmetry. We have one line symmetry. Do we have rotational symmetry at all? Let's look. If I trace around this heart, using my tracing paper that you would lay on top, I'd put my pencil down in the center of the shape and I would start to spin it. I want to go until I get back to where I started, and anywhere that it matches up perfectly, we're going to count that as part of the order. So far I haven't found anywhere that I can stop this, that it matches itself perfectly. And in fact, I have to go all the way back to where I started before it matches up with itself. So this does not have rotational symmetry. So no order, no magnitude. And then we have this four-leaf clover. Do you think the four-leaf clover has line symmetry? Can I go vertically like I did with the heart? Yes, I can cut through those two leaves. The left leaf would fold on top of the right leaf. The left half of this leaf would fold on top of the right half. The left half would fold on top of the right half. So we do have a line of symmetry there. Are there any other lines of symmetry here? What'd you do? Put words to it. You're right. Just put words to it. We could do diagonally. Yes. I can go diagonally in between this set of two leaves. So these two leaves would fold on top of these two leaves. So there's another line of symmetry. Any others? We can do the other way. We can go diagonally the other way. Anything else? We went vertically. Horizontally, we can go horizontally. Those are all of the lines of symmetry for this four-leaf clover. We have 4 line symmetry on the four-leaf clover. Do you think that we have rotational symmetry? Yes. We do have rotational symmetry. So let's look at what the order is. So I'm going to trace around my four-leaf clover. Like this. And I'm going to start to spin it. When I get right here, it matches up with itself. So here's one stop. And then I spin it some more until it matches up with itself. Here's my second stop. So far I have order 2, but I have to go until I get back to where I started. Here's my third stop. And then I can keep spinning it until I get back to the very beginning. So there were 4 stops, so we have order 4. And that means my magnitude is what? 90. How do we get the magnitude? Yes, 360 divided by the order gives me the magnitude. Nicely done. What else would you guys like to look at? You said 10? Absolutely, we can go look at number 10 next. So we're on the back page. We are going to find the translation vector. So we are going to determine how far left or right the shape has moved. That'll be my first number. And the second number will be how far up or down the shape has moved. We have to make sure to start from the original shape and count towards the new shape. So we want to start with the pre-image and go towards the image. Which one of these shapes, the one with or without the primes, is the pre-image, the original? Yep, where it doesn't have the primes. So this shape right here is my pre-image. That is my original. So we are going to start with that shape. This shape over here, the one that has the primes, this is the image, which means it is the new shape. So I want to start from the original and count towards the new one. I have to pick out a pair of points that matches. So M and M prime, or N and N prime, or L and L prime. It doesn't matter which pair of matching points you choose, because every single point has been moved the same amount and in the same direction. So I'm going to pick M and M prime. The first thing I want to know is how far left or right we are going. First of all, if I start at M and I count towards M prime, is that heading left or right? Left. How far left? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5 units left. How do I indicate on my vector that it's gone left? Negative. So this is going to be a -5 to tell me we went left 5. And then I have to figure out from right here how to get to M prime. Do I go up or down to get to M prime? Down. How far down? 2. Down 2. So how do I indicate that in the vector? -2, yes. It's really important that you know which one you're starting with and which one you're going towards. Because if you do it the other way around, you would say right 5 and up 2, which would have me with the wrong signs on my vector. So you're going to get the wrong sign, the wrong positive or negative if you start with the wrong shape. Also, that first number, again, is your left-right number. The second number is your up-down number. What else would you guys like to see? Yes. Number 11, sure. Absolutely. We'll finish out this back page. Use the graphs below to identify which type of rigid motions shown are a translation, a rotation, or a reflection. So when we talked about each of these shapes, we said a translation was a slide or a shift. This preserves orientation. A rotation is a turn. And a reflection is a flip. When I look for a slide or a shift, there's no turning, there's no flipping. So when I'm looking at the original shape, the one that doesn't have the primes, if it is a translation, then the points should have the same arrangement to each other. So for example, looking right here, starting with B, C, D, E, this parallelogram right here, notice that point C is on the left, point D is up to, right to from point C, and point B is 4 below point C. When I come over to the other shape, is C still on the left and D still on the right, or C prime and D prime? No. So that would not be a slide or a shift because my points C went from being on the left here, and then C prime is on the right here. What about the middle one? If I start with the shape that doesn't have the primes, the pre-image, X, W, Y, Z, this one right here, X is on the left, Y is 6 units away on the right. Do we have that same orientation up here with X on the left and Y 6 units away on the right? Yes. W is down to, right to from X. Is W prime down to, right to? Yes. So we have slid or shifted it, just picked it up and moved it like this. We did not turn it. We did not flip it. The orientation was preserved. So this middle one is the translation. The turn, the rotation. Now I'm looking for like a spinning. Is that what happened over here? Was this a spinning? No. How would you describe this transformation? It flipped. A flip would be which kind of transformation? A reflection. So this first one here is a reflection. And so process of elimination tells me this one over here is a rotation. The other thing that I can look at here, B is up on the top here. B has turned to the right here. A is on the left and C is on the right. Well, now A is on the lower right and C has moved up to the top. So we've had to spin it a little bit. We've had to turn it. This is a rotation. All right. Nicely done. Number 12 next. Number 12 next. What are the coordinates of the image of triangle STU with vertices S, -3, -2, T, -2, 3, and U, 2, 2, after a reflection in Y equals -X? So when we reflect over Y equals -X, the rule that we learned for that is that we are going to switch X and Y and change both signs. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to come through to all of my ordered pairs, and we're going to flip the numbers around. So -3, -2 becomes -2, -3. For T prime, -2, 3 becomes 3, -2. And U, for U prime, when I switch around 2, 2, I still have 2, 2. Then I have to go through and change all of the signs. So on S prime, this becomes a +2 and a +3. For T prime, we have a -3 and a +2. And for U prime, we have -2 and -2. Yes. What else would you guys like to see? What else would you guys like to see? Which one? 7, absolutely. Number 7. Use the marker to write your name, date, and time on here, and then marker goes right here. Number 7. Consider segment AB with endpoints A, -1, 8, and B, negative 5, 6. So the first thing we're going to do is graph segment AB. That is part A here. So A is negative 1, 8 right here. And B is negative 5, 6 right here. And we grab our straight edge and we connect those 2 points together. Oops, not dashed though. Let's try that again. There we go. Draw segment A prime, B prime after the translation along, and then it has a vector. What is the first part of the vector telling me? Left 4. And the second part of the vector is telling me what? 2. Which way? Up 2, thank you. Up 2. We can count left 4 and up 2, or we can use the ordered pairs. Subtract 4 from the x, add 2 to the y, or the y. So minus 4 plus 2, minus 4 plus 2. Or I can count on my graph. That's going to give me a point A prime of negative 5, 10. And a point B prime of negative 9, 8. So negative 5, 10 puts A prime right here. And negative 9, 8 puts B prime right here. And then I connect those 2 points together. Then part B, it says now map segment A prime, B prime to draw segment A double prime, B double prime after a reflection across the X axis. When we reflect across the X axis, X stays the same and Y changes signs. So A double prime, X stays negative 5, but Y changes to negative 10. So negative 5, negative 10 puts my point right down here. Here's A double prime. B double prime, X stays negative 9. Y changes signs to negative 8. So 9, negative 8 is right here. Here's B double prime. Grab my straight edge and connect those 2 points together right here. Eight, absolutely we can do 8. Give me just half a second. I'm going to scoot some of this over here so that it's easier to read. There we go. There we are. Number 8. Graph the following segment. Well, here's the ordered pairs for that segment. So that is the first part of the directions here. Graph the following segment. So I'm going to graph point G at 3, 2 right here. And then I'm going to graph point H at 4, negative 5 right here. And we're going to connect those 2 dots together. So that is the first thing. The order that we do the next 2 transformations in is really important. You have to do it in the order that it's been written. It says, then graph its image after a rotation of 180 degrees. Graph its image after a rotation of 180 degrees. This is what we're going to do second. Rotation of 180 degrees. We do not change the order. So same order. Change both signs. Same order for my ordered pairs. Change both of the signs. So instead of 3, 2, that becomes -3, -2. Instead of 4, -5, that becomes -4, +5. So -3, -2 is right here. That would be my point G prime. -4, 5 is right here. That's my point H prime. Then I grab my straight edge and I connect those 2 points together. Then we want to do a reflection over the line x equals -6. Remember, to find the line x equals -6, you have to go to the x-axis. So this is find -6 on x-axis. And then we draw a vertical line through that point. X equals -6 is right here. There's -6 on the x-axis, and then we do a vertical line through that point. Can't be horizontal through that point because that would send me through all of the x's. That would send me through the x-axis. I can't do it this way because that goes through the wrong axis. This way right here sends me through the y-axis, but this is an x equals. Now that I have the line that we are going to reflect over, we can count how far are my points from that line, and we're going to go the same distance away on the other side. So let's start with G prime. We are 1, 2, 3 units away from the line. So on the other side, 1, 2, 3 units away right here would be G double prime. That is at -9, -2. And then we're going to do the same thing with H prime. H prime is 1, 2 units away from the line. So on the other side, 1, 2 units away on the other side. Here's H double prime. That is at -8, 5. And last but not least, do not forget to connect those 2 dots together. What else would you guys like to see? Number 1? Absolutely, we can do number 1. I'm going to give just a second to make sure everybody has a chance to get this one into their notes, and then we will do number 1. All right, problem number 1. Graph and label the following figure and its image under the given rotation. Triangle CDE with vertices -5, 2, D -1, 6, and E 1, 3. So we're going to graph and label the figure, which means these 3 ordered pairs first. So I'm going to grab my straight edge. -5, 2, right here for point C, -1, 6 right here for point D, and 1, 3 right here for point E. Grab my straight edge and connect those points together. For a 180-degree rotation, we leave the points in the same order, change both signs. So C prime would become +5, -2. D prime would become +1, -6. And E prime becomes -1, -3. So 5, -2 right here for C prime. 1, -6 right down here for D prime. And -1, -3 right here for E prime. And then I grab my straight edge and I connect those 3 points together. All right. What else would you guys like to see? Number 2? Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I want you guys to keep in mind for all of the transformations that we've talked about, whether it's a 180-degree rotation, any other rotations, reflection, translation, my shape should stay the same size. If your shape is getting smaller or bigger, you have made a mistake. These are rigid motions. These shapes stay the same size. They should not be changing size at all. We're working on the test review. It's the very bottom paper in that red organizer over there. All right, problem number 2. Which figure or figures in the diagram are a rotation of figure number 2? So figure number 2 is this one right here. So I'm going to trace around it. You can use tracing paper for this one. A rotation is a turn. So I can take this shape, I'm going to scoot it over here. We want a turn. So if it looks like this, that would be a rotation. None of these have their stems pointing to the side. The stems are either pointing up or pointing down. So it has to look like this, but it can't just be a flip. So notice this one up here, the leaf is on the wrong side. I need the leaf over on the left. Figure 5 matches that description. Figure 4 also matches that description. So figure 5 and figure 4 are rotations of figure 2. Figures 4 and 5. Which figure or figures in the diagram are a translation of figure 5? Well, figure 5, I'm going to trace over that with a light blue. A translation is a slide or a shift. Well, if I take figure 5 and I slide it over, it puts the leaf on the wrong side, so it can't be that one. Figure 2 is upside down, so that's definitely wrong. Figure 3 also has the leaf on the wrong side, but figure 4, if I take figure 5 and slide it straight down, I get figure 4. That is a translation. Which figure or figures in the diagram are a reflection of figure 3? A reflection would be a flip. If I look at figure 3, Which of the other shapes on here look like you took figure 3 and flipped it over a line? Number 2, it's upside down. Number 3 and number 1 would be translations. That's a slide. So we're looking at figure 2 here. All right, we have 5 minutes left. That's enough time for probably one more problem, possibly 2. What else would you guys like to see? We've done most of the packet. Yes. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Figure 3, if you flip it this way, you get figure 2. But if you flip it this way, the leaf changed sides. That would also be a reflection. Thank you for catching that. Number 5? Absolutely. What'd you say?
4 and 5 are the same.
4 and 5 are the same, yes. So to go from 3 to 5, I would need more than just a reflection, though, because a reflection would be a flip over one of these lines, and then I'd still have to slide it. So that would be a reflection with a translation. But you're right, it is a reflection. It just has one more piece to it. All right, problem number 5. Graph and label the following figure and its image under the given rotation. So we have triangle CDE. We're going to graph and label the figure CDE. So C is negative 2, 2. Let's go plot that point. Negative 2, 2 is right here. There's C. D is negative 1, 4. So right here. And E is negative 6, 3 right here. I actually have to move my label for point C because it's going to be inside my triangle. And then we're going to connect those points together to make the pre-image. Then it says we want a rotation clockwise. Clockwise is this way. If you ever don't remember which way is clockwise and which way is counterclockwise, there is a clock right over here on the wall above the door. That second hand moves in a clockwise direction. So if you look up there for a couple of seconds and notice which way the second hand is moving, that is your clockwise. 90 degrees would be 1 quadrant. When we do a 90-degree or 1 quadrant switch, same thing for 270 on this. We are going to switch X and Y, and then we will match the signs to the quadrant that we land in. All 3 of these points, C, D, and E, are in quadrant 2. When I do a 90-degree clockwise rotation, it's going to move me into quadrant 1 up here. What are the X's and Y's like in that quadrant? Where we're moving to. Are the X's positive or negative in this quadrant? Positive. Are the Y's positive or negative in this quadrant? Positive. So we're going to switch X and Y, and then we're going to make everything positive. So for C prime, the first thing I do is just switch the X and the Y around. For D prime, I'm going to switch the X and the Y around. And for E prime, I'm going to switch the X and the Y around. Then I'm going to go through and make everybody positive. So 2, 2, 4, 1, 3, 6. And then we're going to plot those points. 2, 2 right here. That's my C prime. 4, 1 right here. There's my D prime. And 3, 6 right here is E prime. And then I grab my straight edge, I connect those points together, and that gives me my rotated triangle. All right. I think that leaves you guys, what, like 2 problems left to finish up on your own? I believe that leaves number 3 and number 6. I think we did everything else in your test review packet. Please, please, please make sure that you know the rules, especially for the reflections and the rotations. Make sure you know the rules for the reflections and the rotations. You will be turning in this test review when you come in to take the test tomorrow.